Hello and welcome to the Cricketers Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We are here once again to recap the week that was in the world of cricket with the IPL in full swing and a couple of Aussie opening bats making their mark in English county cricket. Here to talk through it with me, as always, Cricket Australia commentator Bryden. Maxie, how are you, mate?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing well, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. What's news? Good weekend?
Oh, great weekend, mate. It's always good when you can juggle your loves for cricket. We got some really good short form stuff in the IPL. We've got the long form stuff happening in the county as well, just to really feed the red ball freaks like myself. Into the winter codes in Australia as well, nice and humming along. And my Tigers having a mostly good time. So,
mate, the Golf Masters, Rory McIlroy this morning, one of the great performances, an iconic sporting moment. Oscar Piastri in the F1. Unbelievable weekend of sport and cricket, of course, as well here. Also to chat through it with us, as always, the man with the best stats in sport, including golf. Random stats guy.
Mate, loved it. I actually timed it so perfectly. Went for a morning swim, came back, went to get my coffee, and the coffee place I went to was showing the Masters, and it was Rory's putt to win it. And I was like, what are the odds of this timing? That I'm waiting for my coffee and just watching an absolute iconic moment. A career grand slam for Rory McIlroy. Too good. Anyway, enough of the golf stuff. Lots of cricket stuff been going on. Very exciting. The county cricket well underway. A couple of Aussies performing in there. And the PSL, of course, over the weekend, starting off with the bang too.
Fired up early, Randall.
Really fired up. It's Monday morning. I can't wait to get into it.
Guys, on today's show, we'll be looking at the IPL insights. Abhishek Sharma building a 40-ball ton. We'll be looking at who has the quickest IPL tons of all time and the highest IPL individual scores of all time. English County Cricket Watch, Cam Bancroft, Marcus Harris, both making early statements for that Australian opening spot heading into the middle of the year. The Pakistan Premier League has started, Super League, I should say. We're going to look at the Aussies on deck in that competition. And then, guys, it is the Easter weekend in Australia next weekend. So we won't be recording next Monday with the long weekend. We'll be back in 2 weeks after this one. So hopefully we go out with a bang. We'll have plenty to catch up on when we do get back. Guys, a quick before we get into our Indian Premier League, quick update on the points table. On 8 points, the Gujarat Titans, the Delhi Capitals, the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, the Lucknow Super Giants, down on 6 points. The Kolkata Knight Riders, the Punjab Kings with a game in hand, down to 4. The struggling Mumbai Indians, Rajasthan Royals, Sunrisers Hyderabad, and the in absolute all sorts Chennai Super Kings. Mitchie Stark and his Delhi Capitals right in the hunt there. They've got a game in hand on 8 points as well. And a few of the Aussies in action, boys. Marcus Stoinis, 34 off 11 in recent days. 4 straight sixes off Mohammad Shami, one of the great sights to Australian cricket fans' eyes. Glenn Maxwell struggling a little bit at the moment. Scores of 0, 31 and 3. Didn't bat in the other fixture. Travie Head, 66 off 37. That was up against Stoin and Maxi. But boys, the one that I want to talk about, and in no shot to anyone, he's a bit of a walking headline. Not for any bad reason. Seems like a very good kid. But Jake Fraser-McGurk, just in poor touch at the moment. Leading into the tournament, when we did our preview of the IPL and the Aussies to watch, we flagged our concerns over the temperament of Jake Fraser-McGurk. We know he was fantastic last season in the IPL, but this time around, scores of, he's coming off a golden duck. Scores of 0, 7, 0, 38, M1. Maxie, what I want to throw to you is, where to now from Jake Fraser-McGurk? And not even necessarily in the short term, but like, what do you think the career goals are for Jake Fraser-McGurk, who's played mixed sort of amounts of domestic cricket early on in his career? Is he going to be a white ball specialist? Is he a T20 specialist? Will there be aspirations of Test cricket? How do you see the next few years panning out for Jake Fraser-McGurk?
He's a really interesting test case, isn't he? Because he sort of represents the start of this next generation of player that's been spoken about for a while, who aren't necessarily going to be interested in earning the baggy green. I mean, of course, he would love to get a baggy green, but it doesn't really look like that's his trajectory. I think the interesting thing about him has been that after last year's IPL, where he stole the show and earned the big contract that we've spoken about, he hasn't actually played a lot of domestic cricket in Australia outside of the Big Bash. He had a much publicised move from his home state of Victoria to South Australia 2 seasons ago. And what really kick-started the growth in him as a cricketer was that 30-ball ton that he hit at Karen Rolton Oval in a one-dayer. A game they lost, but a game where their side almost chased down 400 runs. That's the innings that really sort of sparked him. But this year, he was kind of overlooked by South Australia in most of their forms of cricket. Didn't play many Shield games. I only think he played a handful of one-day games for them. Some of that wasn't his own fault. He was away on tours for Australia. But you're sort of going to find with a guy like him that he could eventually not have an actual home base to go to and kind of ground himself as a cricketer. These guys like this will always have like personal coaches and things like that, but he won't necessarily have like a place where he's going to belong that he can go back to and reset. We know that cricket is a game of form lines, right? Like you can have all the talent in the world, but you're going to go through like swings up and down of form. And I'm a little bit worried with him at his age, if he's not surrounded by the right people to help him snap out of these form, like that he could just be lost to the Australian game, become a bit of a T20 gun for hire. And the risk with that isn't that just the IPL and if he's going to go any good, it's that he might not be playing in the IPL. He might be playing in subpar tournaments where selectors are going to start to question the quality of the bowling if he does have good performances, which is going to then jeopardise his future section for Australia. So whatever he's doing at the moment, it's not working. And I'm a little bit worried about what it's going to mean for him long term, but really, really just hope that in these last couple of weeks, because he's getting a lot of opportunities at Delhi, that he can find a way to snap out of this and show just a glimpse of what he did last season.
Yeah, as you said, that sort of next generation, this type of player may emerge across the world in different sort of formats, obviously being T20 the main focus. But like, if you put yourself in Jake Fraser-McGurk's shoes, what are you doing? Because I haven't heard him speak publicly around any potential red ball ambitions, but at the moment that seems like a long, long way away. You'd imagine white ball, Australia, ODI and T20s, that'd be the goal. But as you said, if he is sort of become specialised in these T20 tournaments around the world, and maybe that isn't it, maybe he does play a lot more domestic with South Australia and whoever moving forward, but like, what are you doing if you're in JFM shoes?
I think that there's nothing that he's doing right now which is going to jeopardise his future selection for Australia in terms of signing international contracts to play in various tournaments, but he's got to find a way to find form. He's got to find a way to surround himself with people who are going to help get him through slumps, be it mental coaches, be it technical coaches, whatever the kind of coaching he needs. He's got to find what works for him. You look at the best Australian right now on the circuit doing this incredibly successfully is Tim David. He was, just another 6'5" West Australian when he was in their state system. Went down to the Big Bash League for the Hobart Hurricanes and showed the world that he was an instant attacking batsman who could come in at number 6 or number 7 and just really light up an innings, and has turned that into contracts globally, including the Indian Premier League, where he is a highly valued commodity for possessing a rare skill. But he's been able to do this and stay in form. I don't know his particular story. I don't know what his situation is and how he's doing that. But whatever he's doing, I think that's what Jake needs to follow, because Tim David's able to do this in a way which is still making him have mass appeal to the selectors in particularly T20 format. Yep. But I don't think one-day cricket's out of the question for him, given what he's shown, particularly in the last 12 months at home for the Hurricanes. But I guess it's a long way of saying what Fraser-McGurk's doing is not necessarily going to jeopardise what he's doing for Australia, but at the moment, the way that he's doing it doesn't seem to be working, does it? Yeah, and Tim David, it's a great comparison and sort of the path that some of these cricketers are starting to take in the modern day. So maybe that is where it is. But very interesting to follow him in coming months, not even quite years. Rando, how do you see it, mate?
I think it's really interesting, his trajectory and how it was absolutely skyrocketing off the back of that 2023-2024 summer. He has an absolute dream role in the IPL. He's picked up by a sub by Ricky Ponting for the Delhi Capitals. Obviously, since then, it's kind of just completely dropped off for him. He's played 22 domestic T20 matches, 150 to show in that. He went to the Major League Cricket. He averaged 17 in 7 innings. Obviously, we know about his BBL form, averaging 18. And now in the last 5 innings, his high score is 38. And I think he's only scored 46 runs in his last 46 balls in IPL this season. So that's a lot of money per run, per ball faced as well. And I do feel sorry for the kid. Like, it's just like a few poor scores, but now it's just starting to pile up. Part of me is also wondering, obviously, when he was with the Delhi Capitals last season, he was under the guise of obviously Ricky Ponting. Maybe Ricky made him feel more at home. Also, being a sub, less pressure, less money on him. New coach now for the Capitals. Is that playing a part in his progression, in his form line, that he doesn't have someone as comfortable as Ricky Ponting there to lean on in different conditions, potentially? But yeah, I just really hope it works out for him, because we know what he can do in the white ball format, and hopefully he's not lost to being a player who has to go overseas and play cricket everywhere and live in different places every week.
I'll tell you what, boys, if I'm Fraser-McGurk in the Big Bash, I'm signing a deal and taking unders to play with Adelaide or Hobart as quick as I can.
Yep.
Like, obviously you need to back yourself, but playing at Marvel with the Renegades, it's one of the worst decks in the BBL to play on. We saw last season, I think he had one score all tournament late on in the tournament, couldn't get it off the square. Mate, just chase the flat decks and watch your price go up around the world. Seriously.
Yeah.
100%.
Especially because cricket is, but when you get to this level, guys are so skilled, like so many players are skilled, it really comes down to what's between your ears. And it can't be good playing on awful decks and consistently not being able to hit the ball, right? So you're exactly right. I'd chase the flat decks, because it's only going to do him a world of good for his confidence.
There, people label him a flat track bully and all of that, and who cares?
He'll be rich.
He'll be getting paid for it, so who gives a shite? Boys, international angle in the IPL, and not a hard one to pick out this week. Abhishek Sharma, 141 runs off 55 balls for the Sunrisers Hyderabad versus the Punjab Kings. 14 fours and 10 sixes in that knock. He's the first player to have 3 T20 tons in 40 balls or less. Rando, this is where you do your work, mate. We want the top IPL scores of all time and the fastest IPL tons of all time. Do your best.
All right, we'll start with number 5, and it is a South African on this list. AB de Villiers, 133, back in 2015 for Royal Challengers, up against Mumbai. Next up, another South African, must be a theme here, Quinton de Kock, 140 not out. Off 70 deliveries for Lucknow in 2022. Of course, Abhishek Sharma, this is where he lands. Number 3 on that list, off 55 deliveries, of course, for the Sunrisers against Punjab. Then we go to Brendan McCullum, 158 not out for the Kolkata Knight Riders. Crazy stuff there. 73 deliveries way back in 2008. And then, of course, the man, the king, Chris Gale, obviously has to hold the IPL record. 175 not out off 66 balls for Royal Challengers against the Warriors in 2013. One thing you might notice out of that top 5 list, boys, only one Indian, and that is Sharma. He is the highest scorer in IPL by an Indian. KL Rahul, 132 not out against the Kings. Number 6 all-time on the list back in 2020 was his high scored there. So quite crazy numbers. You think home ground advantage, you see a few more Indians on that list, but wasn't the case. But those are the high scores. In terms of fastest...
Before you get into the fastest, you look at those numbers there. Gale 175 off 66. Like, that's going to take some almighty beating. You look at Sharma's 141 off 55, Maxi. Couldn't have done much more there. They actually ran down a total there. They chased like 2 or 3 down or something absurd. But there was an over and a bit to go. 141 off 55. Didn't get a lot of the strike, to be fair. But Chris Gale's 175 not out. That could stand for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely could. And I think that there was a few years where you notice him, Gale and de Villiers, they were two of the 4 internationals at RCB. Now, RCB have never won a title, but they've never been short of entertainment. And packing those two guys into a lineup was just electric. And particularly knowing RCB, I don't know the exact results, but I'm sure that Chris Gale's 175 not out probably came in a loss too.
They'd have had fun. Rando, quickest of all time. Possibly a similar list. This would be interesting, actually.
Actually, very different. Only one player is on that list. I think you can guess who that guy is. Abhishek Sharma, he actually finished 6th on that list.
Yeah, wow.
Priyanish Ara 39 ball 100 only 5 days earlier, of course, against the Chennai Super Kings. Then we've got an Aussie. Finally, we've got an Aussie in number 4, Travis Head, 39 ball ton last season against Royal Challengers for Sunrisers. Then we had, of course, David Miller in number 3, 38 ball ton against Royal Challengers. Again, as you said, they are the entertainment machines. Which way, whether they're batting or bowling. That was back in 2013. Pafan, number 37. For the Rajasthan Royals. Not number 37, sorry. 37 balls against the Mumbai Indians back in 2010. And, of course, the universe boss, Chris Gale, 30 ball ton in that 175 not out that he went on to achieve there. So those are the fastest tons in IPL history.
Unbelievable numbers and good stats, Rando.
Thanks.
Good luck for the name. English county season, boys. Let's move our attention to the far northern hemisphere, all the way up. Cameron Bancroft in his first game of the season, straight off the plane he was, 163 for Gloucestershire. Marcus Harris, 138 and 52 for Lancashire in the same fixture there. Sammy Constas, boys, not over there, but he had a couple of 50s late in the Shield season. Unfortunately, not getting a run in any county cricket. I believe they maybe tried Maxi to get him a couple of games over there leading to the World Test Championship final. But, we look at this Australian Test team for the World Test Championship final and the fact that there is an opener's spot to be won, and Constas has probably got his nose ahead at the moment, but with not a lot of cricket between now and then for Sammy Constas, particularly red ball cricket that I'm certainly aware of. You see Bancroft over in English conditions where that final's going to be hosted. Bancroft getting a ton, Harris getting a ton. If these two boys keep bashing out runs, I'm picking both of those guys ahead of, not right now, but ahead of Constas for the final, because runs in the conditions versus Constas, who's coming off some white ball cricket and not a lot of cricket leading into it, lots at stake. Yeah,
it's really interesting, isn't it? And I feel that the first indication of the pecking order that we got was probably the contract list, which we spoke about last week, which didn't include Cameron Bancroft or Marcus Harris for Cricket Australia Central contracts, but did include Sam Constas. But I think contracts aside, runs matter. And in particular, form in these conditions that the Aussies are going to need to play in for this Test Championship also matter. So you're exactly right. I don't think Constas has necessarily sewn up the position. I feel like the central contract that he got is probably an indication that tours, World Test Championship final, West Indies tour that's coming up afterwards, he's considered a part of the plans, but I don't know if he's necessarily cemented that spot. So he's got himself in a bit of a tough spot with no county gig, and I'm sure that the young man just needed a little bit of time off as well after a huge summer, like his first Test summer. But yeah, Bancroft, Harris, all they can do is score runs, and they're doing that at the moment. Yeah, and look, they've shown right by not picking Constas in Sri Lanka there that they'll pick to the conditions. And we had a good chat about this, a few weeks ago on the show, or a month or so ago on the show, and, the impact that had and the success that we had against Sri Lanka. And it doesn't mean that Constas won't be opening the bat for Australia at the end of the year at the Ashes, but if it's for a one-off test and it's two blokes getting runs in the conditions, I know who I'm going with, even if it's literally for one game. Rando, how do you say it? Yeah, I think limited chances there for Constas is probably going to hurt him a bit more. Obviously, he's going to be training and still practicing for the conditions, but obviously being on the ground, I guess you can kind of say Bancroft playing Div 2 at the moment, if it's just as good, if you can really qualify that, that might be the only thing I could see why Constas will get the nod. But as you mentioned, big Test summer for the kid. Maybe he just needs a little bit of a rest and not playing as many games. And it's only one Test they're playing over there. It's not like he's warming up for an Ashes series, 5 Tests. So I can see that it's not huge a deal, particularly when they go into the Windies and it's a completely different wicket later on anyway. So yes, I'd love to see him play more cricket, but probably best that he's having a rest before final. Anything to add there, Maxi, or do we move on to the PSL? No, look, I think it's a fair point. It is only one game, but it's a pretty bloody important one. Yeah, right? The biggest game. Yeah, that's it. Particularly from we've been working for 2 whole seasons to sort of get to this point. So, gun to head, Maxi, right now, what's your pecking order to open the batting? Who opens the batting with Usman Khawaja in June? I think it's going to come down to probably what happens in an Australia A tour match over there. Honestly, it's that close. I think Constas on reputation, on skill, has probably shown he's got more than what these guys had, particularly at the same age. But like, runs a currency, and if these two guys keep banging down the door, as I said, they're every chance to force their way into that side. And
also experience counts for everything as well. And these blokes who have played in English conditions quite a bit, like, it goes a long way. Particularly with Sam Constas' style and his aggressive nature, going over there in conditions I can't imagine he spent too much time in so early in his career. It counts for everything, right?
And you speak about mental fortitude. Like, we're talking between Bancroft and Harris, two guys who had poor summers at home by the lofty standards that they've set. They both would have felt like they took a blow when they didn't get the opportunity to join the Test side with the retirement of David Warner. But this is them bouncing back, which has got to count for something too.
Yeah. Boys, a quick eye to the Aussies in the Pakistan Super League. What do we call it, boys? The B grade IPL, the reserve grade competition.
Yeah, it's probably a tiny little bit better than that, but not much. I think this is very much the people would understand that for various reasons, the Pakistanis aren't permitted to play in the IPL. So them running their national tournament is an opportunity for anyone who missed out on one of those lucrative deals to play in this tournament.
And some serious talent over there, boys. I'll highlight for now predominantly the Australians over there, but a lot of international players in that. Matty Short, Ben Dwarshus, David Warner, Benny McDermott, Kane Williamson's over there to show the calibre of player that are in this tournament. Mitchell Owen is one that I have my eye on. I cannot wait to see how he performs there. Sean Abbott just missed out on a Cricket Australia contract. Lots of big names. I'll start with you, Maxie. Who's the eye catchers?
Oh, for me, it's Ben Dwarshus, and you know that I'll give that answer like most days of the week.
You like him? I haven't heard you say one good word about him.
Well, look, I think it's really him and his teammate, like Matt Short as well, but two guys who are really on the cusp of locking in consistent selection in national teams. I was quite shocked that Matt Short didn't get an IPL deal, particularly having gone over there in recent seasons and done okay. I would have thought he had replacement player tattooed right across his forehead. But if Jake Fraser-McGurk continues to trend the way that he's going, then opportunities in yellow for Matt Short are going to continue to come, as they will for Ben Dwarshus as well. We know how much his reputation was enhanced by his performance in the Champions Trophy.
Yeah. Rando?
Mitch Owen, have to have him in there. Keen to see how he goes overseas. Obviously, he came in the South African T20 domestic comp. He had scores of 7, 7 and 0. So wanting to build his international... He's due. Well, his most recent innings, only 2 days ago for Peshawar, he scored 31 runs off 13 balls, but he's batting at 7, guys. Why is he batting at 7? He is, that is true. He's behind Maxi Bryant. Maxi Bryant starting ahead of him in number 6, and he came on as a late bloomer, 4 sixes in that 13 ball, 31 runs.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, surely he gets promoted up the order as the tournament progresses. But
maybe they weren't showing Hobart games in Pakistan.
Maybe. Crazy that he's batting number 7, so hopefully we see him come up the order there. I was just trying to take a look at his openers that he is behind, and you've got the 2 Pakistani openers, Sayam Ayub and Babar Azam.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I don't think he's going to be pushed there. Muhammad Harris coming in at number 3 too, so yeah, be tough for him to crack that, but if he's hitting 31 or 13 to save the innings, I think they'll love that.
I'm still batting Mitchie Owen opening. I'm putting Bubba at 3, and I'm saying Mitchie, tee off, mate. And if Bubba's in 2 balls into the innings, then so be it. But yeah, big watch on him. Who he'll obviously off the back of a monster BBL campaign and domestic for Tassie as well. He'll be looking to push his case for some white ball Australian cricket in the future if he can get a few runs on the board. Boys, part 2 of the show, World Team of the Week. The part of the show where we scan through all the best results from the world of cricket. Basically, we'll come up with our World Team of the Week and keep you up to date with what's going on. From there, we go and give our 3, 2, 1 votes to go towards the race to the mace, with the winning players nation getting points towards the overall total to culminate at the finish of the World Test Championship final. This week, boys, the IPL, and will be for a while now, we're taking our performances from the IPL, the county season, and the PSL, Pakistan Super League. Of course, we need 2 openers, 4 middle order bats, a wicket keeper, and 4 bowlers. Maxie, I'll start with you, mate. What have you found in terms of opening bats?
County for me this week, mate, and I've got Ben McKinney, who scored 153 for Durham against Warwickshire. Dom Sibley, he got 2 tons, 100 not out, 105 for Surrey. Tom Haynes, 141 for Sussex versus Somerset. Ben Compton, 124 for Kent versus Middlesex. And Cam Bancroft, 163 of the best off 267 deliveries for Gloucestershire versus Glamorgan.
On your bangers. Rando.
For me, I took on the IPL and PSL, the T20 comps. Some guy named Abhishek Sharma scored 141 in the IPL. I think we've already mentioned him for the Sunrisers. Then we had Pranash Ira, 103 off 42, fifth fastest ton. The next batters after him scored 9 or less, so mustn't have been that easy a wicket. Sai Sudhasan, 82 off 53 balls there for the Titans against the Royals. Yasavi Jaiswal, he had 75 off 47 for the Royals. That's his highest score of the IPL season. And of course, an Aussie in the mix, Mitch Marsh, 81 off 48 deliveries there for Lucknow.
Some serious options from across the world this week, but our openers are, of course, Abhishek Sharma and Priyansh Iyer. Maxi, our middle order bat.
Yeah, a name that I love from his time at the Adelaide Strikers in the BBL many moons ago, Colin Ingram has scored 103 for Glamorgan versus Gloucestershire. Oliver Price, 101 for Gloucestershire versus Glamorgan. Tawinda Muyai, one of the Zimbabwe's best, he's playing for Kent at the moment. He scored 125. And then Saif Zaib scored 116 for Northamptonshire versus Lancashire.
Rando?
We had Sherish Iyer. He scored 82. Just getting that match up now against the Sunrisers. Then we had Nicholas Puran, 87 not out for Lucknow against the Kolkata Knight Riders. And with 89 runs, Karun Nair. Now, this is really interesting. 2,520 days between 50s in the IPL for him, which is the longest drought between 50s and IPL, overtaking Travis Head for that record. So Travis Head relieved of having the biggest gap in between IPL 50s, and Karen Nair, he's the new person there to take over him.
There you go. Boys, our middle order bats. James Vince, Tawanda Muyai, KL Rahul, Martin Anderson. We've obviously got Sunil Nareen coming in here. One of the great performances. Bat, ball, take your pick. Wicket keepers, lads.
For me, I've got Kyle Verrein, who scored 128 and took 2 catches for Notts versus Essex, and our man John Simpson, 110 not out. It was 180 last week, 110 this week for Sussex versus Somerset. Pretty flat decks they're sounding like so far at the start of this tournament.
Or maybe they're bad decks, and what is it, Johnny Simpson? He's just knocking the door down for an Ashes berth. Gee, I'd love to see John Simpson travel to Australia in that squad.
Oh, he's surely on the first ticket.
Keeps this up. Rando, any keepers?
Only one for me, and that's KL Rahul with 93 not out. So not too much going on in the keeper verse for IPL.
Mohammad Rizwan taking the gloves for us this week. Maxi bowlers.
I've got Martin Anderson, who is in the bowlers, but he scored 101 off 140 deliveries and then took 3 for 82 for Leicestershire versus Derbyshire. And then Jason Holder over in the PSL, 4 for 26 for Islamabad United.
Rando?
For me, Sunil Nareen, both with the bat and the ball, 3 for 13 off 4 overs, and then 44 off 18 balls for the Kolkata Knight Riders there against the Chennai Super Kings. We had a Harshal Patel, 4 for 42 for the Sunrisers against Punjab, and then Krunal Pandya, 4 for 45 for the Royal Challengers against the Indians.
So our bowling attack made up of a few all-rounders as well who performed with both bat and ball, but Anderson, Nareen, Pandya Patel and Holder. The race for the Mace boys, our 3, 2, 1. Maxi, who have you got?
1 point for me. Sunil Nareen, couldn't go past him. Not necessarily like the most eye-catching numbers I've ever seen, but doing it with bat and ball will always get points from me. Number 2, Priyash Iyer, big ton, 39 deliveries. We love to see it. And then number 3, no guesses here, Abhishek Sharma, high scorer by an Indian in the IPL. He gets 3 votes for me.
Rando?
For me, I gave 1 point to Mohammad Rizwan, 105, the T20 captain for Pakistan, making a statement. Then 2 points. Can't believe you guys haven't got this bloke. Can't believe it. John Simpson. We're going to be sitting here in 10 years' time about the GOAT debate for English cricket, and John Simpson's name is going to be thrown into that list. And, of course, 3 points, Abhishek Sharma.
Simpson v Root. Can't wait to be having that debate on the Cricketers Playbook podcast in 10 years' time. For myself, I've actually gone the same as Maxi. Sunil Nareen with 1, Priyansh Iyer 2, and Abhishek Sharma 3. I do feel a bit guilty leaving Johnny Simpson out this week, but look, he's going to continue to turn. He'll have plenty of opportunities to notch points up for the Poms across the county season. Boys, that is 5 points to India and 1 point to the West Indies, which gives us a new leader. Unfortunately, from an Australian perspective, that lead we had, it was a pretty big gap for it. It hasn't taken long. India on 22 in first, Australia on 21 in second, New Zealand in third on 11, South Africa on 10 in fourth, England on 7 points there in fifth, Windies in 6 on fifth, going down there. Fellas, short, sharp, efficient. We're heading into Easter, but I think that'll do us, Maxi. Thank you.
Pleasure, mate.
That was exciting, mate. Do you want to give me anything else, or that's it?
You said short and sharp, so I gave you one, mate.
You did, yeah. Rando?
Mate, keen for Easter into Anzac Day for us Aussies. So what a public holiday list we've got up there. And then if you're a rugby league fan, into Magic Round. So a second Easter.
Look out.
Plenty of 4-week holidays there. So very excited. And we got 3 tournaments going on here. We got the county, PSL, and IPL to keep us interested overnight.
See that, Maxi? That's how you round out a show.
Yeah,
that's how you have a send-off. But yes, that will do us, guys. If you enjoy the show, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, like, comment. Same on Spotify, Apple, all those places. But yeah, as I said, we won't be back next week because of Easter and all these things going. We'll be back in 2 weeks on the Monday evening. But for now, that'll do us. Thanks for tuning in.